All right, we are moving along. We're into game number 2. This is more U19 action. We've got PEI. They are in the black, taking on New Brunswick in the white. Hey, everybody. Dan Hobbs alongside Matt Melanson. Justin Roberts is the referee here for this one. Once again, we still have 22, 23-minute halves here. This one, Matt, your thoughts here on this one?
Yeah, I mean, there's some fantastic athletes. This division is really tightening up. As I say in the last game, the standard is getting higher and higher. Some players really excited to see here.
Williston had it, tried to keep possession there for Team New Brunswick, unable to at the meantime.
Yeah, Allison LeBlanc had that first carry for New Brunswick. Looked athletic, looked explosive, tried to get us on the front foot, and just mishandled on the next play. But
I will quickly go through the lineup here for New Brunswick. We have Shafransky, Brazeau, Trinham, Chase, Landry, Williston, Platisse, Gillis, Corbier, Bauer, Purdy, Eulden, LeBlanc, Gallant, and Bowland, Boland, Rice, McKenna, Ailes, Martin, Versteeg, Schneider, Josie Smith, Stutter, very good. Heard a lot of great stuff about her. McAldiff, Gillis, Martin, Roberts, Smallwood, Walsh, and McKinnon rounded out here for Team PEI, who have the ball. And they're getting right close to the midfield stripe. Good open field tackle there by LeBlanc. Just shy of the midfield stripe. Maybe not the easiest of passes there to handle there for Stutter, but down below the knees. Maybe not pretty, but she made most of what she got. Martin.
the arm out from Justin there, trying to give some instruction to roll away, but just the way that tackle happened, there was no chance.
New Brunswick with the penalty. Lortz
looking to just play quick.
Quickly inside Versteeg. And it runs into a white wall. Back in the middle once again. Gillis. Gillis brought down by the shirt, but dragged a couple of tacklers in the meantime. Maybe I got a couple of extra meters. Stutter.
Great balance, great strength, able to reset her feet there. Stutter always seems to get a little bit extra. Madison Martin's off to,
with the drop. Right there. They say Johnny on the spot. We'll say Jill on the spot because it's females playing, maybe. The whistle stops play. So, Matt, you're having some difficulties with some flies, I see.
I did. I just grabbed one off my neck. I did hit Mike Cavanaugh with it, though, which I think was fairly funny.
Growly. You might have got away with one.
He didn't know where that came from.
Yeah. First scrum of the match here.
There's one earlier, and PEI did look fairly strong in it.
Well, everything's just
folding together. But we'll see if PEI can put that same pressure. Sort of Justin's going to have it reset there and starting to spin. Yeah, PEI was able to exert some pressure on their put in, and we're going to try the same thing.
Well, we've had a different crowd sort of change over here with the New Brunswick and PEI. We were saying with the two Nova Scotia teams battling about the weather. We're right in the middle of a heat wave here in the province of Nova Scotia, so it's supposed to end tonight, but in the meantime, temperature right around 24, 25 degrees, but the feel-like temperature's like 32, 33, so...
Yeah, everybody's looking for ice and water bottles, filling stations and coolers and wetting down towels. All the tricks.
New Brunswick with their best possession here. This is Landry. Landry, she stops the support, but almost going right up the gut there was Team New Brunswick, bringing it up to the midfield stripe. There's Chase. Chase brought down there.
I mean, all that starts with Laurence Cormier, who goes for a little snipe, and that gets them on the front foot. And they've just been keeping their foot in the gas ever since.
Trenham rumbling and bumbling for some extra yardage here. Roberts blows the whistle. And a tap and go. Quick at momentum there was Cormier. You can see the New Brunswick wanted to go up tempo here, and it's took advantage of the penalty and drove down. In the meantime, there's an injured New Brunswick player down.
It clearly says no entrance.
As whistle stops play, but in the meantime, there is an injured Team New Brunswick member. Not able to see the number yet. But she was down for a long time, but you got to give New Brunswick credit because they took advantage of the penalty. You've seen, teams try to take advantage and don't really get the, they go with the tap and go up tempo, and it sometimes doesn't work, but it did that time for New Brunswick to get down the pitch.
Yeah, when you can jump on it and recognize it early, it's a great tool to keep your foot in the gas, keep applying pressure.
And PEI looked like that they had a good start to this. So they were sort of driving down, but just unable to really to get much going once they got past the midfield stripe. So right now the team, basically if you're coaching, doesn't matter what team, you must be happy with the way things are going if you're even on New Brunswick or PEI.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I think the standard's so high, and it's good from New Brunswick there that they were looking to pick quickly off of made territory and play. The second or two after the tackle is when the defense is going to be most disorganized, so you jump on them in that time and keep on the pressure. That we're seeing a lot of that in the game now. The pick and go is sort of coming back into vogue.
Let's see if this injury slows the momentum of New Brunswick. PEI came at the right time.
Yeah, sort of a spark plug for them. So we'll see if she's shaking that off. She stayed in the game, so as long as there's no lingering effects. It's Madison Gillis off the back. Strong runner.
Addie Gillis back outside. Pass maybe a little bit high for Bauer, but she works with what she's got. And PEI with the steal. PEI looking, trying to get something going here with Madison Martin. Brought down, made it got like a couple steps, but no further. Penalty to New Brunswick, so 10 yards, and just like that, quick momentum goes McAuliffe and PEI down the pitch. Near the 22.
A couple of strong carries there from PEI. They're able to. Backwards, always backwards, says the referee.
PEI still has possession of it. Stutter. Quickly to Martin. Back out for Stieg. And New Brunswick with the steal there by McKinnon. McKinnon into the middle. Near the 22.
PEI looking to counter ruck at those and slow things down. Seem to have some success there. A big impact from number 7 from PEI. Hope Smith didn't hold on, but delivered a big first shot.
Back-to-back penalties here for Team New Brunswick. This time, rather, they're going to slow the pace down than go up tempo on their previous penalty. As McAuliffe backs away from the ball, so we'll be
looking for
PEI
the touch here.
Yeah. Line out. But well short of the mark, so we'll continue on. Great fight there for
Laurence again, always kind of able to poke around those edges and get on the back foot.
Big strong tackle there near the 22. Shafransky. Rumbles and bubbles to get a few. And another penalty and a tap and go for Martin and PEI.
Give it right back. Both teams contesting hotly over the ball.
Yep, as you said, back-to-back penalties now, so UNB decides to slow the pace. A tap and go, and here they go. Chase. Shafransky. Push it off one of the PEI players, using the size to her advantage. Bauer.
A highlight, I think that was Addison Schneider who scooped up the ball. Now, that tackle that she made, great second effort. I mean, it was the first, the bodies met, and she reset her feet. She got back into it, drove it back.
New Brunswick looking good. Oh, brought down by just the back of her shirt. Platy. New Brunswick pressure, getting close. Justin Roberts right there looking at it.
Got it knocked on.
Knocked on, just that shy of the try line. Bend but don't break is what they say, so that's the case in point here for PEI.
Yeah, New Brunswick's had a fair few chances down inside, within 10 meters. PEI always able to come away with turnover. And that one a little bit more New Brunswick's doing, but
halfway through the first half and still scoreless between New Brunswick and PEI.
And yeah, you can see when 10 or 15 minutes go by without a point, the points seem so valuable, seem so precious.
This is big here for PEI. Smallwood. Martin again. Martin trying to get to the outside. Pass right to the heads of Eve Gallant. Thank you very much. She got a gift, but was unable to get it to the try line. But there was also lots of black and green jerseys in the way.
Martin's gone for a few offloads, or the offload itself had some good skill to it, but I don't know if it was all that well advised.
A lot of players tried to take Trentham down. And getting it in, Lawrence Cormier for the try 5 for the U19 New Brunswick team.
Yeah, she's always taking a look, and I appreciate that in the scrum half. Before just going right into autopilot and making the pass, looking to see if there's something there for her on either side. Sees the defender and nearest to the breakdown that should be concerned with her, was out. Shoulders turned, head turned, and was never going to be able to stop Laurence from that far out.
Eve Gallant here going to kick the conversion. And once again, in our previous match, there was not much of a win. We feel a little bit going from the far sideline to this sideline to our broadcast location, but that's easily up and through for Eve Gallant. Make it 7-0. That's very big. You've known these teams like New Brunswick and PEI with your involvement with Rugby Nova Scotia. So I guess the question has to say is that with these two teams meeting, are we expecting like a high-scoring affair, or we're going to see lots of, really good, solid, not a lot of chances, low-scoring? Well, what do you think we're going to see here in this one?
I mean, I think that can change so much game to game, but the important thing is that the gaps are closing, the standard overall is increasing. Results that we wouldn't have seen in years past, and teams beating teams and final standings, they're all the gaps are all tightening. So whether the conditions say that the game is going to be a little bit more wide open or not, it seems like all the teams, the skill level is going up and up.
New Brunswick has it on the retry. There is the one who got the try there, Lawrence Cormier, outside. Trying to get away was Uden. Number 12, ball on the ground, kicked. Ball up for grabs, picked up there by Gillis for PEI. Boland. And a bit of a stiff arm there by Martin on a couple of New Brunswick potential tacklers.
Not a lot of New Brunswick defenders off to the side if they're able to get through the hands.
Schneider. Hand off back. Kept to the inside here, Roberts. New Brunswick called for penalty. Back 10. And we were just about ready to do the tap and go, but have an injury down on the field as a New Brunswick player needs some attention, but quickly back up to her feet. As they see Martin, and they see some of the action from a little bit earlier here in this first half. Martin's had a lot of touches. There was the drop. And
certainly a skillful carrier. Martin, she's off to the University of Ottawa in the fall, I believe.
And Boland there, who's had some good touches for New Brunswick. Some cloud moving in, so it's not as warm as it once was here for game time, but New Brunswick player, we didn't get a chance to see the number. She's okay. She'll stay in the match. Yep. And a line out here for PEI. So we're halfway through 14 and a half minutes. Just about 8 minutes left to go here till the first half. And of course, as I said, we had a new audience come in. We were talking with the Nova Scotia first matchup, the importance of ball possession, not to be sort of like be one-sided, because it's harder to defend, and when you've got heat, it takes a lot more out of you, and then it takes a lot more out of you when you're defending too. So we mentioned that in our Nova Scotia game.
Justin sorting out what happened there with all the various knock-ons. New
Wide out, not
the result.
Not to Justin Roberts' liking, so scrum coming up right exactly at the midfield pitch. New Brunswick wins this, and when you get into the scrum, I usually like to ask the question, who do you think it favors? But boy, this is a good run here for LeBlanc, brought down there by the 22. So you see that
every involvement from Allison's been fairly explosive. She always looks like she's ready to go for a big run.
Landry was hoping for the same thing. She got support outside. Lawrence Cormier, who's got the try. Bauer. Treader there pushing the PEI player off. Brazeau. Back out Landry. Runs in. Shafransky. Numbers to the outside.
Yeah, these are all these passes are well held. They seem to be right on the edge, held at the last second, but Brunswick's doing a good job to retain them.
5.5 minutes left to go.
Oh, and that's Ellie. Ellie sneaking through.
Uden gets down for the try for Team New Brunswick. Well, you were talking about passes, and it was really perfectly timed by you, because New Brunswick's passing was just sharp there with that and just quick passes, and then they just converted quickly, and then it's like Uden was gone and off to the races, had real estate.
Yeah, she didn't. It's a full disclosure. I coach Acadia. Ellie's one of our players there, so I do know some of these players more than others. I'm trying not to be too favored, but Ellie's a great athlete, and not that she didn't have to do much, but she caught that in a way that, and the pass was delivered in a way that let her just catch it in stride, turn of the shoulders, sneak by one tackler, and found a gap. Yeah, when the passing is accurate and on time, easy to catch and in the pocket, you can do a lot more rather than worrying about having to catch a ball that's down at your feet or slightly behind you or something.
Gallant eyeing up the conversion. And right down the middle to make it 14-0 here as we're into the 18th minute. And of course, on a hot day, it's more like, dump the water on me as opposed to in me and on me. And with 45-minute games, so we were talking off air, maybe folks just tuning in, with a 45-minute total game, no real water break. It's basically you play the 22, 23 minutes plus change. So when there's a chance to go water up, you water up. And cool off as the restart underway.
Yeah, you see whenever anybody's injured, the teams are looking to their subs pretty quickly, asking for water on any chance they get.
Adriana Platy.
I believe that's Plattis.
Plattis.
Plays
it's
for UPEI.
Okay, thank you. So my apologies for that, Plattis. But a lot of ball possession here for UNB, especially over the last few minutes.
Yeah, they seem to be taking care of the ball when they're making offloads. They're retaining them. Yeah, I think if you can go into a short half like this, 2 scores up, you'll feel very happy with that.
And with the 20-minute halves, it's really when you look at it like a 14-0 game, that's really kind of like a big hill to climb.
Yeah, you're gonna
get shorter time.
Yeah, everybody's gonna have their the game ebbs and flows. It's not exactly like football, but the teams still get their chances to score. So if you think you can always stay 2 clear, even if you give 1 up, you're gonna get your chance somewhere in the middle there to get back up to 2 clear.
PEI successful on the lineup, but right back there was Trenum looking for UNB or for U19 New Brunswick.
So far, two games in, four reasonably high quality lineouts.
Yeah, Martin with a stiff arm. Martin trying to push off and can't. Brought down the 10-meter mark, but.
She can certainly do some fantastic things.
Yeah, well, the thing is that was probably her best rush of the afternoon as the sun starts to come back out here at King's Edge Hill. New Brunswick
just hanging on to the
pick
ball.
It up.
Seems to be Prince Edward Island's challenge.
Here they comes New Brunswick.
Plattis.
And was chased down. Platy was. Just near the 10-meter mark. LeBlanc. Brought down there by Nia Martin. In the middle, Bauer. Once again, near the 10.
Yeah, New Brunswick looking good when they're stringing their phases together.
Williston, a big tackle there as Stutter lowers the boom. Shafransky almost puts it right back to where they started from there a couple of seconds ago. A little bit of a high pass.
I mean, you could see sort of the freezing effect that a scrum half like that has. Even when the pick's not generating much, it still holds the defense because they've got to respect that Lawrence can make a little scoot at any point.
Very important here as we're into the dying stages here for PEI to prevent New Brunswick here from scoring. Scrum coming up here.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's ever set in stone, and no matter how much you're down by at half, you can always say, well, they scored that many and a half, so can we.
Yeah.
But you would like to stay in the 2-score range, much more manageable.
Keep the big crooked number out of the scoreboard. So it does something for the psyche.
Certainly, yeah.
So PEI there will kick it up. So we're into extra time.
Yeah, I mean, the fielding of kicks has been done very well by all the teams we've seen so far today.
Chase with the head off here. New Brunswick looking here. Chance here for a try. Already up by 14. They're within striking distance again. Near that far sideline. PEI just trying to hold on and try to, but they'll not be able to do it as it's try time, try 5 there for New Brunswick again. Believe it was Trentham.
I think you're right, and there we are. The 3 scores should take us right into half after this kick. If
That was
Justin's
an
watch
like
agrees with ours.
we talk about like clock management, like just right around where we were in getting into extra time that, you know, PEI could have like lined it out and we could have gone to half where they decided to try it up and play, and then New Brunswick, you know, went down and scored. So
Yeah, the kick was, you know, hindsight's 20/20. You need good coverage when you make those kicks, or you're going to contest for them, try to get them back. But yeah, the kicks that we've seen that have been very hard to deal with, when you kick and give up almost as much distance as you kicked for, puts your defense under a lot of pressure. They just weren't expecting to be defending at those spots. Well struck, as flags go up.
yeah, Goliath there from like distance from outside as the 3 blows of the whistle there from referee Justin Roberts. Take us to halftime, and it's been all team New Brunswick United up by 21 after the opening 22 and change. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more action here from Windsor at King's Edgehill. You are watching the 2025 U19 Senior Atlantic Rugby Championships on Maritime Athletic Profiles. As we take a look at some of the first half highlights, we welcome you back to King's Chill for the 2025 U19 Atlantic Rugby Championships here on Maritime Athletic Profiles. Dan Hobson, Matt Melanson, and the rest of the Maritime Athletic Profiles crew here to bring you the action throughout the entire weekend. And Matt, that was the score doesn't really lie, because it was pretty much New Brunswick. They sort of dominated. They had a lot of ball possession there, really had PEI on their heels, and they've been rewarded with a 3-try lead as we're getting ready and set here for the second half.
Yeah, just the short possessions for PEI really hard to come back from if you're only going to string a few phases together before a turnover, and you're going to give a chance to attack another team to attack you again.
Will this get the necessary 10 for the kickoff here? So decision time here for for PEI, for the U19's PEI. And they'll settle for a scrub there in midfield. And if there ever really is a such thing as an important possession, this is it here for PEI. Obviously, we want to come away from points, and even though it's just early in the second half, a scrub here they really don't want to lose here.
Yeah, well, you expect to win your own put-in,
Yeah.
but New Brunswick put a lot of pressure on. But
Yeah.
in U19 scrums, you can only push 1.5 meters, so if you don't win kind of right away, it's unlikely that you'll win.
It looks good, but the pass was back, but Abby Walsh gathers it up there for PEI.
Well, the ARs got that. It kind of happened on the other side where Justin couldn't see, but we've got the knock on there. Yeah, I mean, if you say no matter how many points you give up in a half, you could conceivably score that many in your own, that starts to be less and less true as the time ticks away. So yeah, you want to get right back into the business of scoring pretty quickly.
Well, we'll take you down field level for the sights and sounds here of Justin Roberts during this scrum here.
PEI coming back with a healthy shove of their own with the first scrum penalty for the tournament.
Kicked in to touch easily. So line out coming out.
Well, highlight. So this is the first year of the tournament since split in this configuration. Years past, all the way down to under 15s and 17s and 19s were all together. The events were getting fairly large, and with the opportunity to include senior back into the competition, we created this split. And just to highlight the match officiating, Mike Dickey's a manager of match officials for us this weekend. He's put together a very high-level crew, some of the highest-rated referees from all the provinces, and you know, Atlantics has always been sort of a testing ground for new referees as they take it seriously. This U19 and senior competition really gives us a chance to highlight some of our highest top referees and give them a chance. Some Rugby Canada representatives are watching and evaluating remotely thanks to the live stream. The first event like this in a few years, a real high-level U19 and senior event hosted in the Atlantics.
From a venue that's seen a lot of success. This is a 2-time school champions here in Nova Scotia. King's Edgehill Highlanders girls program was coached by Rory Campbell. He's now up in Pictou area, so no longer involved with the program, but the Western Reach is still claiming the championship with Horton. As New Brunswick here is pressing once again. Shafransky brought down, just a little slow to get up here for New Brunswick. LeBlanc.
Kick into the corner and say those just cause a lot of chaos. The player that receives that really had no good options, getting bundled into touch. That's a great outcome for New Brunswick off that kick.
Gilroy. So as we said, some substitutions here. Gilroy, Natalia Gilroy, wearing 24 for the green and black into the game. As the wind is starting to kick up just a little bit near our broadcast location.
Yeah, taking a look at all our sandbags, making sure they're still in position here on our tents.
Yeah, so the first matchup was between the two Nova Scotia teams, U18 and U19, no wind, and now wind, we'll see like the wind change probably throughout the day. Ball down, picked up. Justin Roberts with a quick whistle. Scrub to come here for PEI in New Brunswick. In other sports, we've always heard about the 3-run lead, the 3-goal lead, the 3-try lead. Can be maybe also maybe in that sort of variety is that you don't want to really, be allowing like all of a sudden PEI to get a lot of opportunities here. But in the meantime,
I mean, I think baked into that is that you just don't want you'd always like to be the next team to score, almost no matter what the score is.
yeah. Back into the middle, near the 10-meter line, midway between the 10 and the 22. Good rush by PEI. Martin again with a good touch. Back outside, looks like they got something brewing here with Gillis. Gillis brought down. Support there from PEI. A little bit of real estate, but closing the door was Haley Treadle there for UAB. Otherwise, PEI had something good going. Sent down. Will stay in the field of play, a little toe and into touch.
Got the arm out there, playing the player without the ball.
And what I've always found about doing sports like this in the past is that referees will always go and talk to the player, give them the explanation of it, rather than just call a penalty, but just.
Yeah, I mean, referees. I mean, I am very, very early on in the beginning of my refereeing journey, but yeah, that you want to manage yourself out of calling penalties when you can. You want to try and help the players help themselves, let them know when rucks are formed and not, when the ball's in or out, if you think it can help avoid blowing the whistle.
Full big substitutions here. Looks to be PEI was definitely clear of the bench. Ostrich, Nordquist, and Lily Flood checks in. Lansdale for UNB. PEI just tried to get it out of the danger area, tried to kick it. It actually hits one of the players. And into touch again.
Got away with one there, bounced it off a New Brunswick player as they carried it into touch, so they get a little bit more breathing room and a chance to have the line out again.
New Brunswick here, threatening again, up by 21 into the 31st minute.
A bonus point in the standings for a 4th try on offer here if they can get the ball down, as they do.
Yeah, another try 5 here for New Brunswick. Try not.
Yeah, no, not awarded. Brought back
Not
out for the
awarded.
penalty.
Yep. Haley Trenum, rumbling, bubbling. Will they get it this time? Yes, they do. Let's try 5 now for U19 New Brunswick. Up 26-0. Gotta say that if you're like a scout here for Nova Scotia, watching some of this is a very good New Brunswick team that they have put to the pitch here for this 2025 championship.
Yeah, certainly some strong carriers, some dynamic athletes. There's lots to look out for here.
Eve Gillette.
Well, the flags stay down. She's been striking the ball well. She's been putting up in the air, giving it a chance.
Now it's just about ready to say she's been good on the conversions all day. Didn't want to give her the announcer's jinx, so I just said
Just
Eve
gave her the
Gillette,
one.
and
Yeah.
so keeps it at 26-0. So even when you think it, it's still an announcer's jinx.
Always the way.
Yeah. A beautiful shot of some of the scenery here at King's Edge Hill. Beautiful facility, beautiful turf facility. So I'm going to ask you a personal question. Your playing days, did you like play it on grass or did you like play it on turf?
Oh, I think the grass is sometimes preferable for a player. The turf, I think, in the only players that really prefer it are the fastest ones, the back 3 players. It gives them nice true bounces on the kicks, and they tend to play a bit faster.
PEI called for penalty, and New Brunswick player slow to get up. The little tap and go here for UNB. And into touch.
Yeah,
Set
nice
up
fair
the
bit of
lineup.
distance from there, up around half. You'd be happy with that.
As somebody like involved with rugby Nova Scotia as much as you are, you must be like looking at this New Brunswick team and saying they are technically solid. Yes,
Certainly, yeah, certainly. As I'm impressed with the whole region, and the AUS coach, and happy to see all the players from all the provinces putting their hands up and the skill level growing. But yeah, I'll be interested to see the Nova Scotia teams see how they line up in a New Brunswick game as well. Certainly, Laurence creates a lot of problems around the breakdown, and that prop Haley Trenum has scored a few herself. So we know about some of the Allison LeBlanc and Ellie. So yeah, I think those will be some exciting matchups.
LeBlanc.
Yeah, the footwork and just that ability to make the first person miss you a little bit is so useful from Allison.
Corbier.
And Laurence, you can see even on those last few phases, the defense sort of less able to really fly up, knowing that Laurence, even just picking up and taking a step or two like she might go, holds the defense right where they are.
Well, we said about the ball possession. It doesn't seem that PEI has been sort of defending a lot, and even more here in this second half.
Yeah, it sort of snowballs on you sometimes, and you get defending, and you get a few knock-ons or a few short possessions, then you're back to defense, and it's hard to get back on the front foot, as they'd say.
And then it's just sort of like an uphill battle, as Gillis has it. It's that you're also battling like conditions, fatigue, and everything. So it's
yeah, exactly. It's unfair. It's easier to play offense than defense, and if you can't string the phases together and keep the possession, you end up defending more than your fair share.
A rare New Brunswick penalty, so PEI ball. PEI waiting. They'll just tap and go. Tap there by Walsh into the middle.
Again, sort of smack dab in the middle of the field in both directions. A tap and go, sometimes the option.
Gillis. One thing is that Deirdre Stutter, been a little bit of a quiet match here for her so far. Not a lot of touches.
Yeah, the involvements that she did have seemed strong, but yeah, when the team is sort of starving for possession.
Maddie Carpenter will check in. We're at 21 with the red or pink hairband and the pink cleats to match. Scrum near midfield. Into the, coming up to the 38th minute. Boy, that you couldn't have really executed a scrum better if you tried there.
Yeah, nice solid platform. Pressure on the fullback as they were going to catch.
The hardest things to try to do is like when you're on the run trying to catch a ball. That was the case there for PEI. They're unable to field it cleanly.
Sort of hearing the footsteps as you're looking up, waiting for the ball to come to you. It's not a position I found myself in too often, but.
Looks pretty on TV, but it's probably the hardest thing is like try to catch an oval-shaped ball while you're on the run.
Yeah.
Wind now pretty much going a little bit end to end.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be at New Brunswick's back. And a few more kicks down into the corner may be in our future.
Once again, we'll send it down field level for the Justin Roberts. And almost like a carbon copy of just the last scrum they had from New Brunswick. Bauer. PEI takes possession of it.
Yeah, when they're when you're feeling strong, they can be quite stable and a great attacking platform.
Gillis to Landry. Landry. New Brunswick with support. Bauer. LeBlanc. Shoestring tackle there by Schneider for PEI. Ball up for grabs. Landry. Hand it off to the other Landry. So Madeline Landry to Lauren Landry. Have that reversed, of course. Yulden has got a try.
Run from Ellie seems to always be able to get to the outside of one and then sneak back even on the inside of the second one. But no support there in time.
PEI.
Big kick, but doesn't look like it'll hit fine touch.
Didn't get into touch. And Bolin bowls over a couple of PEI players in the process. And another New Brunswick penalty. See if they tap and go this time. Once again, right to Bolin. Right place, right time there for Team New Brunswick. Cormier. Ball kicked upfield, bouncing away there from McKinnon. McKinnon grabs it on the bounce and kicks on the run. Sends it up the field, so the 15s are going to exchange here as Bolin had it.
And anytime you're seeing a kick hit the ground that many times, you feel good if you're the kicking team.
That was definitely getting the good reactions from the bench from PEI.
Yeah, I think the team going after a kick, would love to see it not bounce at all, once or twice. When we're getting to that third and fourth bounce, we're getting into recoverable territory.
Pass blew by a lot of players. Ostrich, Flood, Roberts, brought down there by Madison Landry.
Oh, she's done very well not to go into touch there.
Schneider. PEI trying to get on the board and a steal there by New Brunswick, but blown down by Justin Roberts.
Yeah, last tackle or attempt was high. We're playing advantage for a second or two. But PEI's my best attacking chance of the game so far.
A tap and go. Walsh. And it's down for the try here for PEI to break their goose egg on the scoreboard. And it's Stadler, Deirdre Stadler. We mentioned it was a little bit quiet for her, but she picked the right place, right time, and came away with the try 5 there for PEI. And most importantly, give a little bit of momentum for this team for their next game.
Yeah, I would say it's almost like a broken record, but I mean, every team looks a lot better when they're maintaining possession. Everybody feels like rock stars carrying the ball. Everybody feels like they're going forward and their shoulders are going forward when they can retain possession like that. And good things start to happen. So I don't think PEI need to take too much from how the first little bit of this game went. If they can maintain possession and build some continuity, then they can definitely hang and score points.
This is Nia Martin out here for the conversion, just outside the far post, and going to be short on wide on that one. As the 3 blows of the whistle there from Justin Roberts, New Brunswick Women U19 with a victory over PEI. As PEI got on the board late, but it was pretty much at all New Brunswick pretty much from the start here, my friend.
Certainly.
So New Brunswick goes to 1-0, PEI 0-1.
Yeah,
So we're going to...
In a tournament like this, getting that 4-try bonus point also be helpful for New Brunswick. They'll be looking to, any team that's looking to top the group will be looking, or top the pool will be looking to get that bonus point as often as they can.
So we're going to take a break, and we'll be back here with the final thoughts here between New Brunswick and PEI, with New Brunswick come away with the victory. Just be back in a second. All right, the teammates are behind the camera sort of staring at you. You're not too shy.
Oh, they're excited that we just won this game, so it's really great.
Ross Corrier is our guest right now. Congratulations on your win. Your thoughts on the big victory here over PEI?
I think we had really great teamwork. It was practices leading up to it. We were really preparing for this, and I think we really showed them what we're capable of doing, so that was great.
One of the things that Matt and I were talking about was how technically solid you were. Like the scrums, you like the last two scrums that you had that you came away with the one looked absolutely perfect. Just talk about how technically solid this team has been.
We are really good individual players, and we've all played for different teams, and just coming together in those free practices and putting all those skills together really helped us, and we had a really strong forward and back pack, so it was really helpful.
So you're starting off 1-0. You must be pretty happy.
Yes, really happy.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll let you join your teammates, and then you can start maybe giving them the eyeball like they were giving you.
Thank you.
Lawrence Corbier, the player of the game here for New Brunswick, as they came away with an easy victory over PEI here at the 2025 Atlantic Rugby Championship. So, for the entire team, my name is Dan Hobson. Thank you for tuning in. So long for now. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.